two governments have never fired a single shot at each other. No declared war, no formal battlefield. And yet, for over 4 decades, cities have burned because of them. Militias have been armed because of them. Revolutions have been funded because of them. From the mountains of Yemen to the streets of Beirut, from the deserts of Iraq to the black water of the Persian Gulf at midnight, this is not one war. This is every battlefield. And on every one of them, there is a Saudi hand and an Iranian hand pulling the strings from a safe distance. This is the Saudi-Iran proxy war. Every battlefield, every player. To understand every battlefield that follows, you have to start with one winter. 1979. The Shah of Iran is gone. In his place, a revolution, not just political, but civilizational. Ayatollah Khomeini does not just want to rule Iran. He wants to export the revolution. He calls the Gulf monarchies corrupt, illegitimate, propped up by the West. 600 miles away, the House of Saud hears that message as a direct threat. Saudi Arabia is the guardian of Mecca and Medina, the historic center of Sunni Islam. Iran now positions itself as the vanguard of a revolutionary Shia power. 2 visions of Islamic leadership, 2 capitals, one region small enough for both to collide. Within a year, Iraq invades Iran. Saudi Arabia bankrolls Saddam Hussein's war machine, not out of love for Baghdad, but out of fear of Tehran. The pattern is set. Neither side will fight the other directly. Both will fight everywhere else. 1982. Israel invades Lebanon. In the chaos, Iran sees an opening. Revolutionary Guard officers move into the Bekaa Valley and begin organizing, training, and arming Lebanon's long marginalized Shia population. The result is Hezbollah, the Party of God. It is, without question, Iran's most successful proxy. Not a militia that fights and disappears, but a parallel state with its own weapons stockpiles, its own social services, its own seat in Lebanon's parliament. Weapons move from Iran through Syria into Lebanon along a corridor that becomes the single most important supply line in the entire rivalry. By 2006, Hezbollah fights the Israeli military to a standstill in a 34-day war, and its stature across the Arab world explodes. Saudi Arabia watches with alarm. It pours money and political support into rival Lebanese factions, into the Sunni political bloc, into anyone who can check Hezbollah's rise. Lebanon becomes a country where 2 foreign governments fight for influence inside every ministry, every election, every street corner. February 2011. The Arab Spring reaches the tiny island kingdom of Bahrain. The country is ruled by a Sunni royal family, but the majority of its population is Shia. Protesters fill Pearl Roundabout demanding reform. For Saudi Arabia, this is not a distant uprising. It is next door, across a causeway, and it looks exactly like the kind of Iranian-style revolution Riyadh has feared since 1979. Saudi Arabia does not wait. Under the banner of the Gulf Cooperation Council's Peninsula Shield Force, more than 1,000 Saudi troops cross into Bahrain. The uprising is crushed within weeks. Saudi officials accuse Iran of orchestrating the unrest from the start. Iran denies any direct role, but the accusation itself becomes doctrine. In Riyadh's eyes, every Shia protest movement in the Gulf now carries Tehran's fingerprints, whether proven or not. 2003. The United States invades Iraq and topples Saddam Hussein, Iran's bitterest enemy for over 2 decades. For Tehran, it is an unearned gift. With Saddam gone, Iran moves quickly to build influence among Iraq's Shia majority, arming and funding militias that will later formalize into the Popular Mobilization Forces, guided in the shadows by the IRGC's Quds Force under Qasem Soleimani. Saudi Arabia watches a historic Sunni-led power collapse into a Shia-influenced state on its northern border. Riyadh backs Sunni tribal networks and political factions to hold the line. Sectarian killings spike between 2006 and 2008, some of the bloodiest years of the entire rivalry. And when ISIS erupts out of the wreckage in 2014, both Riyadh and Tehran find themselves fighting the same enemy while never trusting each other for a single day.
2011. Protests against Bashar al-Assad turn into full civil war. For Iran, Assad's Syria is not optional. It is the land bridge connecting Tehran to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Losing Assad means losing the entire western arm of Iran's proxy network. So Iran commits everything: Revolutionary Guard advisors, Hezbollah fighters, billions of dollars to keep him in power. Saudi Arabia backs the other side, funding and arming rebel factions determined to remove Assad from power. The result is the bloodiest single battlefield in the entire proxy rivalry. Hundreds of thousands killed, an entire country hollowed out, refugees scattered across 3 continents. And even after more than a decade of war, the map keeps shifting. By 2024, the balance tips again when Assad's own regime finally falls to Turkish-backed opposition forces, a stunning loss for the network Iran spent over a decade building. 2014. Houthi rebels, a Zaidi Shia movement from Yemen's north, sweep into the capital Sana'a and topple the internationally recognized government. In 2015, Saudi Arabia assembles a coalition of Gulf states and launches an air campaign to reverse the takeover and restore the ousted government. Iran arms the Houthis, missiles, drone technology, training, turning a domestic Yemeni uprising into the most direct military confrontation of the entire rivalry. The war grinds on for years, producing one of the worst humanitarian crises on Earth. A partial truce and the 2018 Stockholm Agreement offer brief relief, but real peace remains elusive well into the 2020s, even as back-channel talks between Riyadh and the Houthis slowly, cautiously continue. Every year, roughly a fifth of the world's oil passes through one 21-mile-wide choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. And every year, that strip of water becomes a stage for brinkmanship. Iranian Revolutionary Guard fast boats shadow foreign tankers. Mines appear without warning near shipping lanes. In the summer of 2019, a string of tanker attacks in the Gulf of Oman brings the two rivals and their allies closer to open war than at almost any point since 1979. No missiles cross the strait in a declared war, but every tanker that changes course, every insurance premium that spikes, every naval patrol that shadows another, that is the proxy war too. Fought not with armies, but with fear.
In March 2023 in Beijing, Saudi and Iranian officials sit down and do something almost nobody expected. They restore diplomatic relations. China brokers the deal. Embassies reopen. For a moment, it looks like more than 4 decades of shadow war might finally cool. But a handshake in Beijing does not dismantle a militia in Beirut, or disarm a movement in Sana'a, or unwind a war in Damascus. The proxies remain. The mistrust remains. And through 2024, the balance shifts again. Assad falls. Hezbollah loses its longtime leadership to an Israeli strike, reshaping a network Iran spent decades building. The rivalry does not end. It evolves. 2 capitals, 6 battlefields, 4 decades. Not one war, every war. And whatever comes next in this rivalry, one thing has not changed since 1979. Neither side has ever needed to fire the first shot themselves. They only needed someone else to fire it for them. Where every conflict has a cause, every border has a cost, and every war leaves something behind.